This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. We are surrounded in the ever increasing information flow, just nonstop shitstorms flying at us. Today, something a little different. I want to share with you 4 things important to me. So I'm not some AI robot. I'm not some bullshitter. I'm somebody who is giving it to you straight. Things important to me. First things, a tweet from George Mack, a voice on Twitter. I guess it's X now. Everything George is talking here is based a little bit on the concept of Occam's razor, which is if you have 2 choices, take the simpler choice. And these are the most useful razors that George has found. Number 1, the bragging razor. If someone brags about their success or happiness, assume it's half what they claim. If someone downplays their success or happiness, assume it's double what they claim. Number 2, high agency razor. If unsure who to work with, pick the person that has the best chances of breaking you out of a third world prison. I love that one. Pick the person that has the best chance of breaking you out of a third world prison. I don't have any tattoos, but I should get that one as a tattoo. Number 3, the early late razor. If it's a talking point on Reddit, you might be early. If it's a talking point on LinkedIn, you're definitely late. I don't use LinkedIn. Thousands upon thousands of contacts. I will log in maybe once or twice every 2 months to just accept the invites that people have sent to me that want to connect. If someone knows how to use LinkedIn, send me an email and tell me how to use it. But otherwise, whatever. Number 4, the luck razor. If stuck with 2 equal options, pick the one that feels like it will produce the most luck later down the line. George goes on to say that he used this to go to drinks with a stranger rather than watch Netflix. In hindsight, it was the highest ROI decision he's ever made. Number 5, Buffett's Law. The value of every business is 100% subject to government interest rates. Number 6, the 7-figure razor. If someone brags about 7 figures, assume it's closer to 1 million than 9 million. Number 7, Max Rule. Break down the investments your parents made in you: time, love, energy, and money. If they are still alive, aim to hit a positive ROI or at least break even. Number 8, the Instagram razor. When you see a photo of an influencer looking attractive on Instagram, assume there are 99 worse variations of that photo you haven't seen. They picked the best one. For my first book, I had to take a damn photo with a professional photographer. At least that's what they told me I had to do. I think the guy took 300 photos of me and we got one. Because if you've never stood in front of a professional photographer and they tell you to smile and you're not a model, you got no clue what to do. And I had no clue what to do. A memory never to go away for me. I will say though, as time has gone on and you get used to just being yourself, then that's when the best pictures happen. Number 9, the narcissism razor. If worried about people's opinions, remember, they are too busy worrying about other people's opinions of them. 99% of the time, you're an extra in someone else's movie. Number 10, the everyday razor. If you go from doing a task weekly to daily, you achieve 7 years of output in 1 year. If you apply a 1% compound interest each time, you achieve 54 years of output in 1 year. Number 11, Bezos razor. If unsure what action to pick, let your 90-year-old self on the deathbed choose it. That is a great one. The creativity razor. If struggling to think creatively about a subject, transform it. Turn a thought into a written idea into a drawing into an equation into a conversation. In the process of transforming it, you begin to spot new creative connections. The Roman Empire razor. Historians now recognize the Roman Empire fell in 476, but it wasn't acknowledged by Roman society until many generations later. If you wait for the media to inform you, you're either going to be wrong or late. Number 14, the physics razor. If it doesn't deny the law of physics, then assume it's possible. Do not confuse society's current lack of knowledge with the knowledge being impossible to attain. For example, the smartphone seems impossible to someone from the 1800s, but it was possible. They just had a lack of knowledge. Number 15, Skinner's Law. If procrastinating, you have two ways to solve it. Make the pain of inaction greater than the pain of action. Make the pleasure of action greater than the pleasure of inaction. Number 16, the network raiser. If you have two quality people that would benefit from an intro to one another, always do it. Networks don't divide as you share them, they multiply. I love doing that. My podcast has become a fantastic networking operation, and I love connecting people. Number 17, the Gilman raiser. Assume every media article contains a percentage of false information. Sandbox the article from your worldview until you've seen the primary sources and spoken to 3 domain experts. No, I'm not going to assume that major media has some percentage of falsehoods. It's all percentage of falsehoods. Number 18, the last one that George gives, and I have to say, I think I've agreed with almost every one of these spot on, except the media one. But number 18, Taleb's surgeon. If presented with 2 equal candidates for a role, pick the one with the least amount of charisma. The uncharismatic one has got there despite their lack of charisma. Charismatic one has got there with the aid of their charisma. I'm not really sure I buy that one. I'm not going to just discount charisma alone because I've met plenty of very bright people with super charisma. And I've met plenty of dumbasses with 0 charisma. Now, I said today I was going to go through 4 different issues. This is the second issue. This is from another guy that I've checked out on Twitter that I like a lot. I think he's an assistant for Ryan Holiday, who has appeared on this podcast. And this is a little story that he wrote about how to become a successful film director. In early 1992, an aspiring filmmaker asked James Cameron, how do you become a successful film director? Terminator 2 was the top grossing movie of 91. So Cameron, who had no formal film education, was arguably the best person in the world to ask. He replied, if you have to ask someone how to become a film director, you'll probably never do it. Cameron added that he says this to everyone who asks this question because to be a director, you need a dramatic need. The film industry, he explains, is all about saying no to people. So inherently, you cannot take no for an answer. Someone who gets discouraged by his reply, Cameron says, does not have a dramatic need. But if Cameron's reply pisses you off, and then you go out and say, I'm going to show that Jim Cameron, I'm going to be a director, that gives you the kind of true grit you need to have in order to go through with it. Now, take out film director and apply it to anything. Trading, investments, doctor, surgeon, whatever. If you have convinced yourself you can't do it, you sure as fuck can't do it. One more from Billy Oppenheimer, also in the Hollywood space, titled, If You're Really Meant to Do It. Matt Damon was asked if he would let his kids pursue acting careers. To answer, he provided some context. Damon and Ben Affleck, another actor, were neighbors growing up, friends. They both knew at an early age they wanted to be actors. And not only did their own parents tell them not to do it, Damon said, but each other's parents told them not to do it. We were told explicitly, don't do it, Damon said. Ben's mom told me, don't do it. You know what I mean? So I do think, Damon says, to answer the original question, if you're really meant to do it, it doesn't matter what anybody says. That adds right back to Jim Cameron. If you're out there right now looking for permission, you are fucked. You're done. You're cooked. You're goosed. You're over. You don't want permission. All you want is the opportunity. All you want is the inclination. All you want is the chance. If you can see the chance and you don't take it, that's on you. So walk across the room and pick up the penny sitting there that's staring at you and go do something, whatever it is. Make a fortune, trade $1 billion, whatever it is. But you got to do it. Because if you're one of those people waiting for permission, why the hell are you listening to me? Number 3 is also another Hollywood type story. This film just came out, which I've not seen, called The Sound of Freedom, a depressing but true subject about child trafficking. So you might not be aware of this, but Disney owned the rights to the film. No plans to release it. Then another studio, Angel Studios, bought it. They bought the rights. They took it to Amazon, turned down. Took it to Netflix, turned down. They decided to pre-sell tickets and were able to get it into 2,600 theaters and beat out Disney's Indiana Jones on July 4th, 2023. Now, the Indiana Jones budget was $300 million. The Sound of Freedom budget was $15 million. Here we are. July's not even over yet. On a $15 million budget, the Sound of Freedom has made $125 million. I don't care what your politics are, but your business acumen should say, something happened there. Something interesting happened there. Something was tapped into there. Because that's an amazing mountain to climb up and get to the peak. Again, if you think you can't do it, my friend, you can't do it. One more issue I want to address. Somebody asked me the other day, they sent me an email, nice enough guy, asked me why I was in Vietnam. I told him, I've talked about this issue on my podcast a lot. I don't have a specific answer. I mean, if you've not been here, if you've not experienced it, if you've not lived abroad, if you've not lived outside your home country, if you've not got fed up with certain things in your home country, it's kind of tough to share why. Why does somebody just jump? Well, first, let me say, before I give you a fun little answer to his question, how hard is jumping today? And you're listening to me. We're connected. I'm one email away. I'm one phone call away, which is the same distance that we would be if I happened to be living in the city next to you in America or wherever. Geography doesn't mean so much these days. It only means so much if you don't know that it doesn't mean so much, because you can be anywhere and you can be connected. So then it comes down to, who do you want to be around? What type of people do you want to be around? What type of attitudes do you want to be around? What type of gusto do you want to be around? What type of energy do you want to be around? What type of hustle do you want to be around? Let me share an explanation about Vietnam from the deceased, and I was a fan, Anthony Bourdain. Now, maybe I did not agree with all of Anthony's politics, but he was a tremendous and skilled presenter, a skilled host, a skilled guide. The guy was amazing. This is what Mr. Bourdain had to say about Vietnam, and I share his views. I love Vietnam. I love it now. I loved it from the minute I arrived for the first time a few years ago. A year from now, I plan to live here. I will move to a small fishing village in a coastline area of Vietnam near Hoi An. I have no idea what I'm going to do there other than write about the experience. I plan only on being a visual curiosity, the lone Westerner in a Vietnamese community, to rent a house, move in with a few, if any, expectations, and let the experience wash over me. Whatever happens, happens. There are other beautiful places in the world, and there are other places just like Vietnam where the people are nice, the scenery beautiful, the food extraordinary. But Vietnam always feels so right. I have a theory that it's to do with the pheromones for me, like when you meet the love of your life for the first time. Later, trying to describe why you love her, you struggle. Sure, she's beautiful, she's brilliant, she's funny. She can take apart and rebuild a 1967 Mustang to original factory spec. Yet that's not why you love her. It's something else. Maybe she just smells right. You sense, you know, that this is a woman you want to spend the rest of your life with. Reason and logic fly out the window. A more primal, uncontrollable, and unquantifiable force is at work. This is the place you knew you always wanted to be, even before you knew it. End quote. You got to give him credit. He's got a great way with words. Fantastic. And I would second everything he said. Because if you happen to be a Gen X guy like me, and you happen to be growing up in America like I did, and you get to the later stages where America is, and it's at the later stages, and you watch the people get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I mean physically, which is a sign that something is tragically wrong. Morbidly obese people is not a good sign. It's not a healthy sign. It's not a great sign for the economy. It's not a sign of happiness. It's a sign of death. Yeah, pretty intense, huh? Well, it's true. So if somebody wants to ask me why choose this country? Why choose that country? Back to asking Jim Cameron about how to become a director. If you got to ask the question, you're never going to really know the answer. If you have to ask me, why I'm here. You're never going to understand. You got to get your ass off the couch. You got to start moving, and you got to want it. Or you can just sit there and do the same predictable whatever. I'm inspired by this podcast. I'm inspired by the people that I talk to because it's not about prediction. I don't necessarily know what's going to hit me every time I have a conversation on this podcast. I love that feeling. And you can get that feeling if you happen to be American in many places outside of America, where it becomes harder and harder to find it in America, where you're surrounded by a certain groupthink. You're surrounded by people that just tell you everything's great. Let me be very clear. Censorship is not great. The ability to not speak is not great. And that is where later stage America finds itself. I'm not sure how it got there. I'm not sure why it wants to be there. My simple theory is a large portion of the population are losers, and losers are often jealous, envious, etc. So if you give those people the chance to have power, political power, and they can make rules and enforce those rules into some insane groupthink, mob think, cult think, well, there you go. There we are. Welcome to the jungle. What's my message today? My message today is to go for it. Just jump. What the hell? Why not? Why are you sitting there? What are you waiting for? Go for it. When you go for it, you're going to find it. That much I can guarantee you. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.